Jamil Curry here from Era Viper Running, and I'm sitting down today with Steve Adderholt. He's our race director for the Cocodona 250. And we are also joined tonight by Ben Light from Kogalla. We're going to get to him in just 1 second. But how are you doing today, Steve?
Great. Earlier today I was a 76 on the 100% scale of Stoke of Cocodona.
And now?
Now I'm probably like 92 after I reviewed all the info and thought about the sections the runners are going to be going through and prep for this. I'm pretty excited. So 92.
Awesome. Do you want to, before we bring Ben on, do you want to give us like a high-level overview of what we're doing here today?
We had a bunch of questions from runners about lights, what they should use, what the strategy is, where charging will be available, how long the lights last, those sort of things. Kogalla is a partner with Era Vipa and with the Cocodona race specifically, and so we thought we'd take the opportunity to give a little education and about the product, the Kogalla, but also whatever light you're using. Give a little bit of information about the race and how to use lights and the strategy there. So, that's where we're at.
Awesome. Well, let's go ahead and bring Ben in and we can continue the conversation. Hey, Ben, how's it going? Can you hear us?
Yeah, good. Thanks for having me on.
Awesome. Great to have you again. I know you jumped in with us for the Javelina Virtual Expo, and we're gearing up for a pretty big experience coming up here in under 5 weeks, and you yourself are towing the line as well.
Yeah, I'm super excited about it.
That's great. Well, I think we're going to have Steve kind of help us to stay on track here with the agenda, so I'm going to kind of toss it over to you.
Yeah, I'm a little jealous that both of you guys are running the race. I'll be working just as hard, but won't be having nearly as much fun, but maybe not suffering as much also. So, that's great.
Awesome.
Yeah. Let's do intros. I guess we did that. Ben, you want to tell us a little bit about yourself?
Sure. So I'm Ben Light. I do work with Kogalla, and also a lot of people, I guess some know me from the ultra community. I'm actually really excited. Cocodona is going to actually be my 13th 200 plus mile race. So I bring a fair amount of experience, and the majority of them have been ran with using the Kogalla light. So I think I can help runners be able to kind of figure out how to actually plan for a I won't even say multi-day, a multi-night event.
Good point.
Well, cool. Well, then let's get into that then and talk a little bit about our experiences or some of our experiences with the ultra distance nighttime runs. Jamil, you want to start off by telling us something that stands out in experience?
So I've run the Tahoe 200 before, and we'll be stepping up to the 250 distance, so I'm excited for that. Something on that one, I'm trying to think how many nights. I was at 64 hours, so I went through 2 full nights, but with that additional 50 miles, I'll be honest, I'm going to be dipping into the 3rd night here, so it's definitely going to be something that's going to be on my mind as a participant. And I know just from a personal standpoint, I've used Kogalla lights personally at Tahoe 200. I also love to use it, this is like a side use case, but whenever I'm out filming on course, I love using the light. It just provides this nice even amount of light. And I think the biggest thing for me is choosing something that is going to give me enough throw, but also just light up the scene so that I can stay more alert. And I think that's a big thing for me personally.
Yeah, cool. So I used the Kogalla Raw at Moab, the Moab 240 this past year. But the reason I decided to use it was really sweeping the Tusher's course. Me and 2 friends went out and swept the course, and a good buddy of mine who's an ultra runner and has done the Triple Crown at 200s. He brought a Kogalla light, and I was blown away by the difference of just even a really good headlamp. You have this kind of like spotlight one area versus having just everything in front of you lit up. I was blown away. So, that experience really opened my eyes to having a light that just blows everything up. And then in Moab, it helped me a ton. I went 3 nights in Moab, and man, having the light was great. I didn't do the best job of charging one of the nights, so at the end of the night, probably the last 8 miles, the battery ran out. And plus, I want to talk to you later, Ben, and see if cold affects the battery. I didn't have it close to my skin, so that may have been one thing. But also, I didn't charge it up fully the night before. So, in Moab, it was a game changer for me for sure. How about you, Ben? 13 200 milers. Can you pick just one experience?
Yeah, I'd have to say my first experience with the Kogalla light was actually my Wasatch Tahoe experience, and I actually saw it before the Wasatch, my Wasatch Tahoe. I saw it on another friend of mine that was out running, and I honestly thought a motorcycle was coming at me. And when he got to me, I was like, what is that? That is amazing. And I reached out to Kogalla and kind of, told him about my project and asked if I could get a few lights for me and my Pacers. And, it worked out, and I haven't gone back. And I'm standing here at Kogalla, but I'm also trying to tell you from personal experience, after using the Kogalla light, I have used headlamps too. To go back to a headlamp, it's extremely humbling. It's extremely humbling. It's like taking gears off a bike or something like that, and trying to ride a Unigear versus, something with, multiple speeds. So it makes a huge difference. One of the things that you guys kind of talked about that when you're going through the night and then you get to the second night and even eventually the third and maybe fourth night, you're in such a sleep deprived state that the melatonin levels that are built up on your brain, when that second night hits, it's harder than the first. And when that third night hits, it's even harder than the other two. The more light that you have coming into your retinas, the more melatonin that you're going to actually shed off kind of within your brain. So it's going to help you stay that more alert. So when people say hey, I'm more alert, I feel more relaxed, it's actually very true. And it's just a physiological, state that you're in because your eyes are seeing more light coming in. And it's, kind of tricking yourself that it's still daylight.
Yeah, I think it's just it made me think of something else. The desert solstice, even though it's run on a track, the ability for us to turn those track lights on, even for me as a race director or someone who's on site helping, it does trick your brain and you can stay alert. You kind of lose track that it is night sometimes, even because you can just see so well out there.
Yeah.
Cool. So I think we've got that covered. Do you have any funny stories about lighting, Ben? With that much experience and depth of knowledge.
Okay, so
funny happened.
I plan on telling this anyways. And I'm not here to bag lamps because headlamps are a tool. This is a tool. Headlamps are a tool. They both have their place. In fact, I've used the Kogalla light with a headlamp as well. Especially a long throw. Everybody knows that the Kogalla light is a wide span, doesn't have as much of a beam out. And so you can throw a headlamp on and be able to spot Karen, especially or flags farther away. It all depends on the course and where you're going to be running at. I do think Cocodona is going to be more so that you're not going to necessarily need a headlamp. But here's my funny story is, everybody has to use the restroom every once in a while, and at night, and I like to wear my light on a belt. And one thing that you got to be aware of is when you go to use the restroom, like I'd say like number 2, and it's still on your waist, once you squat down, everything goes dark. So like kind of, it's like that first experience, and you're deep into running through the nights, and then you're like, oh, and you have to learn to take it off and, shine it kind of at what you're doing so you can see toilet paper, and you can, make sure you get in the hole. Hopefully you dug a hole and cover it up and stuff like that. So
Definitely
might be a little bit too much information, but hey, trial by fire.
Yeah.
I didn't think we were getting into that in this call, but we're here, so it is what it is.
Yeah, we have a segment on poop that'll come out later, guys.
That'll be a separate live stream.
Yep.
Yeah.
It'll be. We'll just stop there. Yeah.
All right. Moving on.
Okay, so I think we want to get into a little bit more of the technical side, and Ben, we're going to lean on you for that. The light strategy based on the pace chart that you put together for Cocodona. I think we're going to try to pull that up now. All right.
So I put together this pace chart. I do this for all my races. I expanded it out to show a variety of distances or variety of paces. And so you can see what I've done here, and this is just to set an example or to give an example. You got to remember there's going to be so many variations that's going to affect your pace. You might be fast the first half and slower the second half. You might be faster the second and third day because you got sick the first day or something like that. So it's going to, obviously, you got to there's no way to completely plan for it because it's the unknown. But what this will do is at least give you a baseline. And basically this chart, if you look at it, the orange are basically sections that you would be hitting the aid stations at night. And then you would from there decide how long you're going to be spending through the night, if you're going to be sleeping at all, because if you're sleeping, you're not using your light. And so that's actually going to, you don't have to plan for as much battery life when you're going to be sleeping, how long you're going to be sleeping. And then, so one of the technical things that I kind of want to bring up before going into the chart is actually the technical sides of the batteries, because I'm actually really excited about talking about the technical side, because so many people think that you have to run with the largest battery. Everybody's like, I'm going through the night, I need the largest battery. And the reason why I bring up Tahoe, my Wasatch Tahoe, is I ran through 4 nights at the Wasatch Tahoe, and I only had 2 batteries. And the way I did that was I basically got on Kogalla's website. If you get on our website and you look at the facts or the specifications, and it's basically, if you go to our shopping page, you go to one of the lights, and you go to battery life, there's going to be a chart, and the light itself has 20 settings. So every time the highest is 800 lumens and the lowest is 15 lumens. So it's 20 different scales down. Now, obviously, the big battery is 9 hours at 800 lumens on high. And the minute, just with math, you back it down to 400 lumens, you've just doubled the life to 18 hours. But even 400 lumens is only roughly about 4 steps down from the highest, if you go by the chart. So if you were to bring it down to 200 lumens, now even a smaller battery like this, going down to like 200 lumens, is going to take you through the night. So, and one of the things that you don't realize is your eyes are going to get used to the night. Oh, there you go. Awesome. Yeah, so you guys can access that right from our website. And that's going to help. That is such a tool to help you realize and set your light up before, basically hook it up, turn it on, figure out what you want your low, and you got 2 settings, and figure out what you want each of those 2 settings to be. And basically you hold the button down, you have it go ramp all the way down. You'll see a double flash. When it's all the way down, that's 15 lumens. And then just count the steps up. And when you get there, just let off and preset your light. Don't mess with it when you get out onto, especially if you have a lighting and battery strategy. Don't mess with it when you get into the race, or just know what you preset want it to be, because you can do multiple smaller batteries, run it at a lower lumens. Your eyes will adjust. You'll still be able to see the depth of perception. You're still going to be able to see almost just as much. Yeah, if you crank it up to 800, you'll see a big difference, but you'll start to get used to it as well. And I've ran multiple nights so far now with the smaller battery, or even the medium battery. If I wanted to charge my watch and I wanted to maybe charge my phone if need be, or just have it just in case. So that's, I really want to emphasize that in your planning, is figure out if you're going to be like a sub 75, if you're going to be a sub 100, or if you're going to be, in that 100 to 125 range. Figure out, how many batteries you're going to need, how many nights are you going to go through, set your light up, and then, be rest assured that you're going to be okay. Steve, you brought up about the cold, and that is something that we get asked a lot. There's really no, every battery gets affected by the cold. It zaps it. And if you talk to anybody that runs in Arctic conditions, they keep their batteries on the inside of their jackets and stuff like that. We don't have to necessarily worry about that, but if it starts to drop, maybe you have a battery in one of the drop bags closer to Flagstaff, and maybe we have some crazy weather that comes in. That's one of those things you got to account for, is like it's sitting in the drop bag, if it's sitting outside, regardless if it's our battery or Energizer battery sitting there for backup batteries, it's going to be affected. So kind of take a mental note of that, check it. And we're talking about, it needs to be down in like single digits kind of a thing, like, under freezing temperatures and pretty exposed. I mean, it takes a little bit to get these things zapped. So I'm reluctant to say that it's gonna be affected, but it could. Do you have any direct questions?
Not in terms of questions.
So. I don't think we're going to get that cold. Let's hope. You never know.
No. Up to Eldon, if it's nighttime in the middle of the night, the average temp for the time of year for the race is like 25 degrees.
Okay.
That's a really small section of the course, but if we have a really cold spell, it could be something that they could, be thinking about. Just good to know that if it gets really cold, maybe putting it against or closer to your skin is maybe a good course of action.
And if you're going to have a crew, that's going to charge your batteries, maybe you only want to do one battery, and you got a crew kind of like jumping over, something like that, giving you the battery, and they're charging in the car. Just be completely aware of what kind of charging supply you have, because no two USB chargers are the same. And so you can have like a 500 milliamp, you could have a 1 amp or a 2.1 amp. And that's where we really strongly suggest to make sure you go out and buy a 2.1 amp charger. And that's going to charge the battery the quickest. Super, super important. A lot of people just grab any old USB charge and they're like, man, this is taking like 2 days to charge. Well, one, these are like extremely big lithium ion batteries that we use. And if you're only doing a 500 milliamp or a 1 amp charger, it's going to take a little bit of time. So be aware, like plan ahead, make sure you have the right tools so that your crew can be charging that. But it can be charged, but the bigger ones, it's going to take 2.1 milliamps. The bigger ones, almost 11 hours. So the minute you got to be putting that thing on the charger, and they got to be pretty much running the car or something.
Okay,
But
so,
the smaller ones charge up faster, so you just don't have to run your light as bright.
So Ben, is it safe to assume that if you had a 500 milliamp charger, it would take like 30 hours to charge up the big battery, or is?
Yeah, 34 hours.
Okay, so that's good for people to know of, like, okay, yeah, he's talking about, the charger. So to kind of get the realm on the big battery, that it's going to take way longer than you have.
Yeah.
If you have a small charger. Okay.
Yep.
Cool. Let's see. We talked about the lumen settings. What's the best place to find how to program the light? I guess the light probably comes with some instructions. Is it super easy to figure that out and to program it?
Yeah, it's online. All our user manual is online, and you just download it and everything like that. All the new orders come with a QR code. You just scan it, and it brings you right to the user manual. But I can give a little demonstration right here. So basically, you're going to plug your battery in. Remember, it's an external power source. So you got to turn the power source on, and then you turn the light on. And so the first, you got setting 1 and setting 2. You can call it low, you can call it high, but just remember you can set them all on low and all on high. And you just hold down the button, and you're going to I'm going to see if I can face this to you and see if you can actually see it ramp. So it's ramping down. It's going to do a double blink when it hits the bottom. See? And it's going to start going up. And I just kind of count the stages as it's going up. And when I want it to get to a particular point, then that's high, I just let off. So I know where it's at. And so then if you want to turn it off, you just got to not touch any buttons for about 2-3 seconds. And then you just hit it, and it turns right back off. And then when you turn it on, it comes back onto the preset that you turned off on.
Got it. Okay, so that's pretty easy. It's not, and if you wanted to adjust it during the race, you just go through that same process of ramp up, ramp down.
Yep.
And leave it.
Yeah. If you remember, I want it on like 5 from the lowest, then, and you might have played with it just for a particular section that you wanted something brighter or something like that, then just hold it down. I'd let it ramp all the way down. You'll see it double flash, and then 5 steps up and let it go.
Okay, great.
Awesome.
Anything you want to?
So you can reprogram there. You said there's like multiple modes you can reprogram them all. Is that correct?
You can there's three presets or 3 settings, 2 presets and a flash. The flash is as bright as the second preset. So if you have your second preset on low, there's the flashing is on low. If you have it on high, the flashing is on high. If you hold down the flashing mode for, I think it's like 30 seconds, it'll actually go into SOS mode, and it'll start doing SOS on the flash. And then if you want to turn it back to normal flash, you just hold it back down for 30 seconds, and it goes back to regular mode. That's just for, an emergency purposes or something like that. Don't think anybody Heck, Cocodona is going to be needing to send SOS signals but you never know.
Why'd you say that, Ben?
Yeah. I guess we could talk a little bit about the mounting as well.
Yeah, there was a question, and just for those of you who are watching and tuning in, please, we are monitoring the YouTube chat, so drop your questions. We are going to have a Q&A section later, but there is one here from AZ Trail Explorer, so thank you for your comment. Where do you suggest wearing the light, attaching to your pack or using a waist belt, high or low on the body?
Okay, so the farther away from you get it from your eyes, the better on the depth perception. But I would say whatever gear you're going to attach to is you kind of figure out where it's going to attach to the best, and that's where I would put it, basically. It has 3 mounting accessories that come with the light. It has the mag back. A lot of people, especially if you have say a pocket, or if you have a front pocket to a belt, you can actually just drop this in, and then it'll sandwich the material, as long as the material's pretty, it's not a puffy jacket. A puffy jacket's going to keep it a little bit farther away from the magnets, but it's really strong connection. That's how I actually like it, so that when it's on my front, I can actually take it off and wand around and then put it back on. And if it's a secure, it just makes it more versatile. But the most popular is obviously the Velcro roll. The Velcro roll, you cut just individual Velcro straps, pieces at desired length, and then you just wrap it between each of the lights. And so like on our mannequin here, we have a vest. Most popular place to put the light is actually on the lower sternum. And depending on how wide, everybody's body shape is different. Every pack fits differently. And so if for some reason your pack comes together closer, you don't need all, 4 different Velcros. You can just throw on 1 or 2 and keep it on, and just keep that. The light throws at 180 degrees. And so it's going to be wide. You don't have to have it horizontal or horizontal. You can have it vertical. You can have it at an angle. But my favorite is a belt. And, when I talk about the belt, I'll just, this is actually our prototype of our Kogalla belt that we are just now working on getting into manufacturing, so that we can, we're about to launch a Kickstarter on it. But basically, any belt that will hold the battery in the rear away from the light, because you put the battery by the light, it just adds extra weight, and it starts to create this bounce when you're running. You move that battery to the back, and it basically sits securely. And the light itself, is only like 3.5 ounces. So it's extremely light. And a lot of people don't realize this. It can bend. People think it's rigid, but it can actually bend and contour to your body. So make sure you grab it, and you can kind of do this a little bit, get it to bend, and then it'll contour to your body. So you can then take the Velcro roll and make some straps and put it on the front of the belt. The reason why I like it on a belt is so that I can just, take it on and take it off, basically. I can have it up here on, I'm running, and then when I get done, I don't have to take it off and, minutes count at an aid station. You lose dexterity. It's just easy to just unhook it, take it off, hand it back to your crew. If you're running with no crew, you can throw it back in your bag. However you have your setup, whatever you decided to plan on it. But I personally, belt is my absolutely favorite. And but it's the light was not. The crazy thing is the light was not actually designed for running. it was actually designed for adventuring, just anything like. And so that's why it's it's kind of unique and kind of crazy, but it's versatile. It's made to attach to a variety of different gear, whether backpacks, hip packs, vinyl packs on hunters and everything. It's made to even be mounted up onto a climbing helmet. So, but we're all ultra runners, and it's just blown up in the ultra running world because of the amount of light it provides, the simplicity of it, and just the versatility of it. So, if you're running with it, I would get it if you don't have it and you plan on getting it, get it as soon as possible, and start playing with it. Start utilizing it in some of your trainings. Figure out what settings you like, how you like it hooked up to what gear, and just. I love night running, and this has just made it that much more enjoyable.
Yeah, Ben, I agree with getting the light and playing with the settings and figuring out how you wanted to adjust it. That was one thing that I wish I would have done a better job of. I think I had it in the right place on my hydration pack, but the cords were getting tangled up, especially that third night. As I put on jackets or took jackets off, I just kind of was so confused at where the cords were, and that was something tough. One thing that we'll have at Cocodona is every runner will get a bib belt that they can put a bib on if they want to. We'll also have a regular bib with safety pins that they can, if they want to put it on their backpack or whatever. But that was one thing that I found too, is having to try to remember to move your bib to different pieces of clothing based on if you're putting on jackets or putting on pants versus shorts. A bib belt is nice to just take it off and put it back on when you're done your change of clothes. It would work for setting up the light, but you'd still have the issue with the battery having to be in the pack. But it might be a great place for that light is on that bib belt as well.
Yeah, that's what I was about to say. That bib belts. The bib belts are super perfect size to just wrap the Velcro strap around. One of the things you could do, just to throw that a little, is when you have this, the extra cord, is just take some Velcro roll. Just take your Velcro roll, cut it in a little piece, and figure out where you're gonna have it. If you're gonna have it in your front pocket, if you're gonna have it right here, and just put the battery like maybe in your kidney pocket, maybe in your front pocket. Figure out the length, and then just roll this up to what you need. Throw the Velcro on it, and then the Velcro you could just reuse it if you need a little extra length, or it's just right there. The nice thing about the bigger batteries is that you got the 2 other USB ports, so you can actually charge your phone and your watch. But now we're talking about even more cords. I know you're talking about cords. I've had it where it's like I'm running my light and charging the other 2, and everything's stuffed into one big pocket and stuff like that. But the fact that you can actually do it without having to bring an external power supply, backup batteries, a headlamp, it makes it convenient. People are going to see, if they have never ran a multi-night or multi-day event like this, they are in for one wild ride, one crazy, awesome adventure. I mean, it's amazing how you kit yourself out. But if you see a guy that starts a race and then finishes a race, and how they got things hanging off of them and like things situated, but they're comfortable. They're like, I can grab my gloves, or I can grab this. It's like I found a way to, like, you kind of like learn how to use the gear in crazy ways. And I'll just put a plug in for the 200s. I fell in love with the 200 distance just because of that multi-day. I always say if 50 miles is a good movie, or 100 miles is a good movie, a 200 plus miler is a good series. It's like binge watching, 24 when it first came out, kind of a thing on DVDs or whatever, and you're just like can't get enough. You just want to see the next episode. It's that way. Once you get through that first day, it's like the next aid station is just a wild ride that just keeps going, and you tend to look back on it and just relish it and love it, and just you can't wait to get the next one.
Yeah, I agree. I never would have thought to compare it to a TV series, but I like the comparison, and I totally agree. In the distance, it's addictive. I think it's the best format race that there is out right now. So, yeah, let's do it.
Love it.
Hey, I wanted to show you guys something. This is not necessarily, we're still working on the launch, but as you can notice, here's the old light. This is basically a 3-foot cord. We just barely got these in. It's our new one. It's only 1.5 feet. So that whole issue with, wadding up your light and everything like that, it's going to be, a lot of people are going to really enjoy this. We probably think it's probably going to be the most popular ordered. But when you go on, most of the kits shipping right now are actually shipping with our shorter cord. But you're going to be able to go in and select if you want the longer or shorter cord with your kit. So I just kind of wanted to throw that out there for those that are watching. We're going to try to get the single, because a lot of people already have batteries, they already have the kit, but they might just want the cord. We're going to try to work hard to get this up on the shopping page so that they can just order the light with the shorter cord itself, and then they can utilize their other light as like a backup just in case. But, a lot of people, we listened, let's just say it that way. A lot of people requested for shorter cords and shorter cord.
Awesome. We had just a quick question from Andre Lee. He's wondering, this chart, the sleep chart, I'm calling it, or the night light chart, is that going to be publicly available at all? Or do they have to
It's totally, I'll leave it totally up to you guys. I made this so that we could utilize it for this, to figure out, to see how many nights, because it's really, it's just a general. It's based on a set pace. It's actually a really good tool because it actually factors in if you're going to be sleeping 90 minutes or 2.5 hours or 3 hours, or no sleep. That sub 65 where you're trying to beat that third night. Let me just tell you, that third night, if you have to go deep in the well that third night and you haven't slept the other two, you're in for some hallucinations, some big surprises. It's it'll melt your brain.
Yeah, we'll get that up. Is it an Excel document?
Yeah, it's an Excel spreadsheet.
Okay. We'll get a link up on the website.
Cool.
So runners can have access to that.
Awesome.
Thanks for putting that together, Ben.
Yeah.
So let's talk, I guess, some specifics about the course now, and charging and sleep stations, that sort of thing. So we had left charging up to participants and their crews a little bit, and I think we're actually going to add some, after thinking about it a little bit today, before this session and while we're talking right now. I think we're going to add some charging stations pretty much at all of the sleep stations except for 2. So if you come in and you want to throw in your watch or your phone, your lights, we'll have plenty of charging ports for you at all sleep stations except for Dead Horse and Cinder Pit. Those 2 aid stations were really limited on power. So all the other ones, Aid Station 6, Camp Wamatichik, Aid Station 7, Whiskey Row, Aid Station 10, Mingus, 14 in Sedona, 19 at Tut Hill. We'll have charging stations for you there. Now that said, some of them are going to be the power strips, and if there's 8 people charging their phones or their batteries, the charging life on that is going to, or the charging time on that is going to go up based on how many people are using the outlets. But we'll try to get as many outlets as we can and as many ports as we can. But just know you will have power available everywhere except for 12 Dead Horse and 18 Cinder Pit, and I'll get that info up on the runner guide as well.
Well, let me throw in a tip for that, because here's just a little tip that I do with my, and you guys will probably be able to, anybody that's done a 200 can contest to this, is which ones are my poles. Like, especially if you have a black diamond or Lakey, you know, it's like everybody has almost like the same carbon model. And one of the things that I mean, after, you know, coming out and there's like 4 different of the same sets of poles, is I started taping my poles so that I just down the shaft, I'd just throw on some colored tape, and that way I'd be able to know which ones are mine. If there's multiple people with the Kogalla batteries all lined up and charging, just throw some, like, go grab some, you know, colored electrical tape and like throw little colored electrical tape on it, maybe write your name on it. So if you're going to be taking the charger and putting it on there, I'd even take it to the extreme of doing that with maybe even your phone. Just with the charging stations, don't sleep and get up and leave, especially your phone. Don't leave your phone.
Write your name on your underwear type of a thing.
Yeah, that's a great idea, Ben. I'm glad you gave us that tidbit. Okay, so the other thing I wanted to chat through is weather. So meaning temperature along the course and where you want to go in terms of planning your sleep schedules. It's really hard. I looked at the, you know, there are definitely places on the course that are higher elevation and hotter, and will be lower elevation and lower
Reverse that.
Yeah, there you go. Higher elevation and colder, and lower and hotter. But it's hard to plan now until really 10 days out. It's hard to know what the temperature swing is going to be. So I had all these different scenarios of telling you, like, you know, you might want to sleep here, you might want to sleep here based on the temperatures, but it's really going to be, we're not going to be able to make that good of a plan based on temperatures until 10 days out. So, you know, I wish I could help you out there. I will say the Verde Valley, so kind of Dead Horse, aid station 12, kind of right smack dab in the middle of the course. It'll be the hottest part of the course except for the start. So, you know, if you're really heat sensitive, you may want to go through that section at night. That said, Cocodona, which is kind of right, coming up the next 30, 40 miles after Dead Horse, is probably the most iconic and beautiful. You know, we got some shots in the background here, and you'll definitely want to hit that during the day, even though it's you know, a little bit warmer. So it all kind of depends on what your body does and what the temperature's going to do. Another thing is navigating the Granite Dells, Watson Lake. It's definitely going to be a harder section. It's only about 1.5 mile, 2 mile section, but it's going to be a hard section to navigate. We're going to try to mark it really well, but that's mile 85. So I don't know that it would be my primary decision on when to sleep, where to sleep, but you know, you've got 2 really good aid stations to sleep at, 6 and 7, before that mile 85 going by Granite Dells. So, you know, maybe that's just kind of one more decision factor to sleep before you go past Granite Dells. And then the last thing that I wanted, as you're considering where you're going to sleep and where you're going to charge, are views of the course. And I started to make, like, well, this is definitely the one. Well, but there's another one too. And then, yeah, but you can't miss this one. But, you know, the biggest one is Cocodona, from Deer Pass to Black Tank. It's just incredible. You do this big loop around Cocodona. You get every view imaginable of every rock formation. It's a pretty incredible section of the course. So that would be a section that you would want to go through during the day for sure. At some point in there, you want to be hitting that during the day and maybe evening or sunrise. You know, the Kasner climb up to the Coconino Plateau after Cocodona, you get some really great views off to both sides and 2 wilderness areas that are great that I would want to see during the day. Mount Eldon, short and sweet. It's not going to feel short and sweet, but you're up there for a short amount of time. But man, it's that last little bit climbing up and coming down. It's going to be tough, but the views are amazing.
The cool thing, if you are up there at night, is going to see like all the city lights of Flagstaff below, which would be pretty neat.
Okay, you sold me. Yeah.
All right.
Yeah. So if you get to Walnut and it's going to be daytime going up over Eldon, you may just want to take like 6 hours off.
Yeah, just wait.
Because Jamil told us it's the better view. So.
Just keep moving. When in doubt, just keep moving forward.
That's what I'm like listening to you guys, and I'm like, I'm just running as hard and fast as I can the entire time.
I think people at mile 170 are just gonna be looking at their feet probably.
I can't take it. I just have to go.
I know I will.
Yeah.
No, that's a great point to know. Kind of some good insight on views and stuff like that.
Yeah.
So that's all the script, unless we want to.
We didn't talk about the names.
Oh yeah, we didn't talk about the names.
Yeah, let's get into it.
Yeah. Go for it.
What was the whole thing? Oh, we were just gonna talk about the names, Kogalla and Cocodona.
Yeah.
Where did you come up with Cocodona?
Yeah, it's just it's a made-up word, a combination of Sedona and Coconino County. I think both are very iconic. Of course, we have the Coconino Cowboys from Flagstaff. It's the county of the finish line in the northern half of the race, and Sedona is just such an iconic thing for this event. So we just mashed them together, and what came out the other side was Cocodona, and it just kind of stuck, and here we are.
Well,
Yeah.
it almost rhymes with Kogalla,
Yep.
and Kogalla is just a made-up word.
Perfect. Even more made up.
completely made-up word. You guys were asking like, where? Everybody's like RA, like it's actually when they designed the light, they're like, man, this thing's like as bright as the sun, and so they kind of said, well, Ra's the sun god, so it's actually the Kogalla Ra. But I think over 2 years of people just calling it RA and kind of messing it up and not really understanding the Ra thing, we saw that RA ended in the word ultra and just kind of adopted the Kogalla ultralight, in a way, with the RA capitalized to reflect the Ra sun god. So that's kind of, where it all came from. I do think Kogalla is actually a place somewhere, but I don't think anybody knows where it's at. Sri Lanka?
Yeah.
Sri Lanka.
Well, now we know where it's at.
But
Cool.
They didn't know that. I don't think they knew that at the time.
Nice. We will open it up. We do have a handful of people watching. If you do have any questions for myself, for Steve, for Ben, this doesn't have to be specific to Kogalla lights. We touched on some other topics in here. You've got 3 of us. We've all combined done 15 200s. That sounds pretty awesome. But myself and Steve have done 1 each, and Ben has a ton of experience. So we'll open it up. I'm not sure how many comments we'll get before we
Sure.
kind of end our discussion tonight. Do you have something to add in there, Ben?
No, I'm going to just ask away.
Sweet. There was one earlier. We kind of touched on this, but Justin Hart. Hey guys, how many hours do you get with the Kogalla light? I have a 180 LED headlamp that lasts about 3 hours on high beam. Definitely, depending on the battery size, you're going to get more than that out of a Kogalla.
Oh, yeah. So the smallest battery, 4 ounces, and on high at 800 lumens, it's 3 hours. So that automatically, that is the shortest amount of time that you're going to get unless you just didn't charge your light up or your battery up all the way. But 3 hours is where it starts, and then you just, backing that off, it's going to extend the life. So 3 hours for the small, 6 hours for the medium, and 9 hours for the large, and that is when the light is on 800 lumens.
And 800 lumens that's like daylight.
It's like driving around with your brights on. So just kind of remember that you don't necessarily need to drive around with your lights on, especially when you approach an aid station. and you're starting to walk in the aid station with 800 lumens shining off your chest or your waist, people are going to be not so, warm and welcoming as much, or just blinded. So just kind of like take a mental note, consideration, just like if when you're driving, to have some light courtesy.
Absolutely. And even just a few clicks down from high, you can gain several more hours out of your battery. And I mean, if you're on a section of forest road, which there are sections of this course like that, you don't need to be on high all the time. I would say over rougher terrain, more uneven terrain, or if you're looking for maybe a trail marker, kick it up to high temporarily, but then you can bring it back down. And like Ben said too, your eyes will adjust to that light as well. So do we know?
Yep.
Do we have a moon at all during? I guess I haven't looked into that.
It's a half moon.
Okay, so not a full moon. So you're gonna need a good light out there.
Ooh, I'll throw something out. I just thought of something. If it's raining, I know it's Arizona, it's May. I don't think it's going to rain on us, but if it's raining on us, just remember this: it's a power bank. The easiest solution for when it's raining is if it's in a pocket somewhere, you're pretty much okay. But if it's at all exposed, if it's in an open, like say you're like a pocket that's opened up, don't sit it with the ports facing straight up, for the rain to come down in. All you need to do is go ahead and, plug in and then take it and just put it in upside down with the ports facing down. To have water get in it from any which direction is going to be very slim to none. But it's just one of those little things, or you could take a Ziploc bag if you want, but I'm just throwing that in there. For some reason, if it's raining or something like that, or
Ben,
snowing when you get to
dude,
Flagstaff.
Don't say that.
Ben, you must have read my mind because I was about to ask the question that Mary Soul asked here in the chat. Is the Kogalla light waterproof? So
Yeah.
the light itself is waterproof. It's just the battery bank and the USB plug you have to worry about. Is that right?
Yeah, 100% waterproof from the light down to the port. And, any USB with open ports right now, I mean, it's not waterproof. But, just kind of be mindful about where you put it and stuff like that. Our new belt actually takes that into consideration, and we have a water-resistant backing and welded zipper and everything like that with a very small opening. So that alone went into the design of our belt, and just trying to think of all the little different nuances that you have to kind of consider.
Awesome. And then Sun Chu Choi asks me, what is my sleep strategy for Cocodona? Thank you for putting this on. Looking forward to this. Good question. I haven't honestly thought about it that much, but I guess I am in the sub 75-hour club. I'd love to do it under 3 days, if at all possible. I was 64 hours at Tahoe, and I think I slept less than 3 hours. I don't know that I have a strategy right now, but it's probably more along the lines of I hope I get 3 hours or less during the whole thing, so that I'm maximizing my time on course. And I wouldn't say I'm going to go in with much of a strategy other than probably, I don't know, maybe after 40 hours, I would want to get a nap somewhere in that range. 40 to 48 hours, I'd want to get some sleep. Maybe the tail end of the second night might be nice, something like that, if that lines up time-wise. Steve, what's your strategy for sleep?
I approach it very differently. I try to sleep 3 hours, or I tried to, and with similar type of adventures, 3 hours every night. And that, I mean, you add in like time off your feet, change your clothing, getting something to eat. I was taking 6 to 7 hours off every night. And man, it made a huge difference how quickly I could move through most of the sections, whereas other people were just zombies. I was I would pass them again every
Zombie
day.
right here.
Zombie, moving zombie the whole time, sleeping in a van with a beer.
I'll be thinking about that when I'm stumbling through Mingus or something. I have no idea. Ben, what about you?
So I've done it where you skip the first night and sleep the second night, kind of a thing. I've done it where I've done 90 minutes like that. That's actually been my best strategy. This strategy, I'm kind of like putting all my chips onto one number and going no sleep.
Yes.
And seeing if I can. I'm just trying. Sub 65 is my goal.
Woo!
And
yeah, buddy. Yes.
I got to be really quick in and out of the aid stations, but I'm just telling you, and I explained that third night, if you skip the 2 nights and you go into that third night, and if you're not going to be finishing within the first couple hours, I've seen some
ugly.
pretty messed up people, up in the front that are just, it's indescribable. You look into their eyes and there's nothing there. It's just like an empty vortex.
An abyss. So this, I guess now you've revealed this is your A goal here on this chart.
That's my A goal. So
we
my
just revealed your secret sauce right here.
Yeah, I took that and I built off of it. I have another one built for under, so that I can gauge kind of where I'm sitting. The crazy thing is 65. It's not fast. It's not that fast. I don't want to put that. I want to say this very. I'm just coming from experience. There's a lot of times if you're trying to be competitive, I guess you can say, if you're trying to enjoy the journey, everybody has their own, take at it. And I just want to say this, just very cautiously, I don't want to get, social shamed because I said it's easy. I'm just saying that it's, you don't go out too fast. Everybody usually starts way faster than, I have a 4 mile an hour, basically, pace, to do a 65. And that's fluctuates. And that's even adding in, healthy stops, 10-minute stops, 20-minute stops with shoe changes and stuff like that. But it's just all about that relentless, keep moving forward. Don't waste time. Have a game plan when you're going into the aid station. My wife is an amazing crew chief, and I'll have a notebook out and I'll say the aid station and how many calories. Basically, everything will be put into a bag. I'll unload my garbage, load in my stuff. We'll refill my bottles. It'll have on there how far the distance is, what my time needs to be, how many calories I need to be taking with me for that distance. So I'm just taking just enough. And so you're just in and out, and you eat going out of that aid station. Don't sit down at the aid station. Don't eat at the aid station. Order the food, get your stuff ready, and get it back out the door. There's ways. After 13 of these 200s, I've kind of learned where my time was wasted and how I could trim that off and get a little faster and faster and faster. And so it just comes with experience. If it's your first time, I just take it and enjoy the journey.
Yeah, I was just going to say, someone that's done as many of these as you have, I think you have the experience background to know how to push yourself, and I guess you could take it in a different style, whereas someone, I think, first time, I think having a sleep strategy every night, taking advantage of the sleep stations, that's why they're there, will, I think, set you up for success and taking care of yourself, not being too rushed that you're forgetting how you need to take care of yourself.
Yeah, and you can enjoy it. There are a lot of memories from Moab that I really cherish, sitting around, no joke, having a beer with the crew and pacers at the end of the day before I went to sleep, or having breakfast, sitting in a chair, chill, relax. I'll always remember those times, and it wasn't easy, like Ben said, but I was never going to not do it because I was taking my time, and I think that's I think it's a good
Well, and the
strategy.
amazing thing is there's actually places you can go get a beer on the course here, which is even cooler. Like that to me is amazing, and I'm definitely going to be partaking in that.
All right,
I'm not,
there we go.
promoting drinking for those of you that don't do that, but for those that want to do a whiskey and wine tour, this course is set up for you pretty well.
Yes.
There's some saloons, there's wine country, Arizona wine country, so enjoy it if
You need to look into. I've done some of these longer distances in the UK and in Belgium, and I couldn't believe how much beer they unloaded at every one of the aid stations. I was like, so, but what you're saying is, I'm kind of jealous of Steve, taking that approach too, because I look at some of the different 200s that I have done that have taken a little bit longer time, and the relationships that I've gained with the other racers that I was, running with or came in and got to know. It's like, especially when you start to establish your pace, you start to leapfrog and sit around the same people. And by the time you get to the finish line, it's like you know their entire life story. You could have been their best friend growing up in high school. You're going to know so much about them. You might even know more about them than some of their siblings. And it's that right there is a cherish. The people at the front, they only get to know what's in their head, and they're not chit-chatting with anybody except for maybe their pacer or something like that. But there's just an awesome community, and to be able to share that experience with them, I think there's such a thing as a 200 alumni, and it's just an awesome group of people.
That's great. Anything else? Cool. Well, I think that wraps it up for this evening. Thank you to everyone who tuned in, and we will have this available archived on our channels, so you can share it, review it, and if you have more questions for us, feel free to comment. We will get that sleep chart that Ben put together up on our website. And any closing words from either of you, gentlemen? All right. Thanks
Have
so
fun.
much. Yeah, we'll see you soon, and have happy training.
Thanks a lot for having me on.
All right.
Thanks,
See
Ben.
ya.